Hey, 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 and welcome to this episode of Brand OTC, where we answer your branding questions with a faux over the counter product. Now, today's episode, we have a candy bar. It's great in moderation, but not good if you have it all the time. So, we're focusing on myths and misconceptions. And today's branding misconception is the idea that branding is just about social media. That is a complete lie. So, we're going to get into it and break this down. If you don't know who I am, my name is Cynthia Kita. I am your brand strategist, designer, and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And I'm glad to have you here. This episode is for brands that think that social media is the whole brand, the entire brand. And it is not. So, again, we're focusing on the myth that if I'm posting consistently on social media, I'm building my brand. The spoiler alert, again, is that you are not. Social media is just one expression of your brand, and it's not the entire brand in and of itself. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between brand presence and brand substance and walk you through why it's important that your brand goes beyond the grid, the IG grid or whatever grid you're on, especially if you want to have long term impact and visibility that last, especially when the algorithms are not cooperating. And I'm sure you all know a little bit about that. So let's get into it. So, what is branding and why is it not the same as marketing? So, branding is the perception your audience or prospects have about your business. And so when you're building a brand, back in the day, or even now still, the idea of branding was more so about having a shaped metal tool that you put into some fire and put on objects, unfortunately people, and unfortunately animals as well, in order to mark that those things belong to you. And while it's kind of evolved a little bit, the idea is still the same. And so, I understand why people have the misconception that branding is a logo, right? Because we've just had that embedded in our minds for so much, for so long or so much time. But branding is essentially a little bit of that. But in addition to that, it is also what people think of your business. And so if I mention Apple, you would automatically have a thought about, what you feel about that brand, whether it was bad or good. You would also think about their features, if that applied to you, the things about them that you enjoyed, so on and so forth. If I mentioned maybe a movie, or like a movie series like Marvel, you would also have some thoughts about that as well because they've built an entire brand, right? And even if people don't intentionally build a brand, there's still branding that happens. I just advise that you take it into your own hands and fashion that branding on your own without allowing other people to do it on your behalf. Because nine times out of 10, if they do it on your behalf, it's not going to be what you intend it to be most times. Now, when you come to marketing, marketing is the art of actually selling. So you've taken all the branding, you've shaped how people view you, and the marketing part is literally how you sell to them. And there are a variety of different ways that you can sell to people. We're not going to get too much into that, but I just wanted you guys to really understand the difference between branding and why it's not the same as marketing the thing that you've branded. Now, there is a huge danger of just building your brand only on borrowed platforms. And, that's your social media, literally your social media, your Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, X, I was going to say Twitter. What else is there? All the things. I can't keep up with everything. Blue Sky, trying to think. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't like look at all the stuff I have, but social media, social media, right? So the danger is that those platforms are not yours. You do not own them. You do not have a stake in them, right? If someone somewhere flips a switch and it goes off, you do not have the access or the authority to switch it back on. It does not belong to you, right? It's like you're in a neighborhood and you forgot your cell phone in your neighbor's house, right? It's there. It's still yours, right? The phone is technically yours, but you do not have authority of how you access that thing. You cannot break down their front door and say, well, my phone is in here, so I can break down the front door. No, because that's not your property. You still need permission, and someone needs to grant you that permission in order for you to enter the house and get the thing that is technically yours, right? The cell phone. And the same applies with social media. You do not own the platforms. You're literally just borrowing a small fraction of the platform to create content, make people laugh, provide value, so on and so forth. So that is the greatest danger of building your brand only online. I'm not saying that you shouldn't build it online. You should, but you definitely want to have a variety of places where people can interact with you. And you want to make sure that one of those platforms is your own, something that you own. So whether it is your website, whether it's through your email list, other platforms that you can actually have their information and converse with them and talk to them, build a relationship with them. So that is super, super, super important. It's vital that you build a brand that is really memorable and magnetic online and offline as well. So continuing, actually, before I continue, have you taken your brand vitals assessments? I plug in there. You should, if you have not, please go ahead and visit the link down below and take your brand vitals assessment and see where you rank in, all the different areas. We have 9 areas that we believe help you to build a brand that speaks when you're not in the room. And that's what you would need, especially in this case, if you're only building your platform on social media. You need to know the areas in which your brand is properly represented. So please go ahead and take your brand vitals assessment by visiting mybrandvitals.com. You'll get your score, and you'll also have the opportunity to book a consultation so that we could dig deep into it, break down your brand, and rebuild it for success. So if you haven't done that already, please visit mybrandvitals.com. All right, so let's get back into it. Little plug there. So here are some signs that you might be trapped in the social equals branding mindset. So one is that you're only working on your visuals and your captions, but you're not working on your messaging and your values. A lot of times when we're building our brands, we think that it's literally about the things that we can see, and we don't think about the internal things, although it's not like truly internal because, it's not a real thing. It's not like a body, right? We just like to perceive it that way. Now, when you work on your messaging, your values, your purpose, it gives your brand a deeper meaning, and it makes your goal more tangible because you have something that you're comparing it to that's real, that's tangible. So when you're solely focused on your visuals and your captions, you miss out on all of those things. And those things are important for the longevity of your brand. The next thing is that your business will feel confusing offline, especially on your website, in your conversations, and in your offers. And so if you're only focused on just social media, you're going to miss out on the consistency that needs to happen throughout all of the points that people are interacting with your business. Next is that you're always creating content, but struggling to attract or convert the clients. And I know a lot of us can relate with that. We get so caught up in, it's like Instagram. I keep calling out Instagram because I'm always on Instagram. Sorry. Social platforms are always forcing you to put out the content that they think is good for their platform. All right. Social media platforms are forcing you to put out content that they know is good for their platform. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually good for your specific audience, but because you want to remain on those platforms, you what's the word? You manipulate your content into their need so that you can remain on that platform. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So, for example, you're making content that's 1080 by 1080, at least before they change things up, right? Or you're making reels with dances in them because that's what the platform calls for. But is that what your audience actually needs, right? So if you're not focusing on what your audience actually needs, you're not going to be able to attract them, and you're definitely not going to be able to convert them into the paying clients that you need in order to keep your business afloat and alive and healthy. So that is a sign that you might be trapped if you're only thinking about creating content, but not actually attracting or converting your clients. And the fourth sign that you may be trapped is that if social media disappears tomorrow, your entire brand would go along with it. And we don't want that to happen. That's happened a few times, but of course it came back. But in the moments that social media was shut down, it was not fun. Some people lost money. People didn't know how to reach their audience, and you don't want to fall into that trap. So again, you've got to pay attention to that. You have to build something for yourself, and that's just that. Now, here are some steps to build a brand beyond your feed. So, number one, clarify your brand core. And I know some of these things are going to sound boring to you, but trust and believe that when you have a strong foundation, you could build anything you want on top of it and not worry about how the wind blows, because it's not going to throw it down. It's not going to break it down. It's not going to destroy it because your foundation is firm and set. All right. So, one, clarify your brand core. Who are you? What do you believe? Why does your brand exist beyond making money? Yes, we all want to make money, and we all need to make money in order to be considered a business. But you have to think beyond that, okay? Number two, define your brand positioning. So, what exactly makes you different? Who are you here to serve? And how are you uniquely equipped to do it? And emphasis on uniquely, because you want to stand out from your competitors, all right? You don't want to do what everyone else is doing, because then you're just like everyone else. There's nothing special about you. And there already is something special about you. You just have to find out what it is. Number three, develop your branded offers. And as you can see, everything says brand, or branded, right? So this is all pointed out to you when you take the Brand Vitals assessment. So I just want you to understand that all of these areas and how you rank will be made clear to you once you take your Brand Vitals assessment by visiting mybrandvitals.com. Number three, develop your branded offers. So you don't just market something, you don't just sell it. It's important to really craft those offers that align with your promise and that also deliver a transformation within your audience, right? And then next, once you develop that offer, you want to focus on your branded touch points. So think like your website, your email list, the client experience, how you make them feel as they move from point A to point B to point C and all. Your workshops, podcasts, anywhere that your brand shows up and leaves a mark. And then lastly, use social media as amplification and not as the definition. So let your social platforms amplify your message. Let it be like what is the word? I can't think of a word right now. But it should help you to do what you're already doing. It should not be the main thing. Your brand isn't built on social, it is just shown there. So view it as a little bit of an album. If you guys remember albums from back in the day, think of it as a little bit of an album, and learn and understand and be okay with the fact that branding is not just subject to online matters, it's also subject to offline matters. So yes, we love being online. It allows us to reach the masses, but don't forget that local things too, in-person local events also help you to reach new people that you may not have found online as well. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, once more, please, 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 for your own sake, take the Brand Vitals assessment by visiting mybrandvitals.com. And I will catch you all in the next episode. All right. Have an amazing day. Bye. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive, but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.